Hey everybody, it's Bus with Battles with Bus number 278, and today we're doing battle in the Gauntlet. And so it's our last chance to play in the Gauntlet before it goes away and seasonals gets here. It's to me, one of the real bummers of the kind of seasonal season, if you will, in that if you really want to prepare for seasonals in the best of three format within the game client, you can't really do it. The Gauntlet is your last place to get that chance in, and you have to leave the lands of the Legends of Runeterra client if you want to get that practice in. And so it's a bit of a bummer, but it is what it is. We'll take our last opportunity to get in some of these gauntlets and get some of that last experience while we can. And so before we jump into the battles, I will say that the ladder has really started to see the rise of the opulent Foyer Katarina deck, the red Gwen, if you will, but it does not care about Gwen anymore. It is so much more focused on the opulent Foyer and getting a bunch of rallies with Katarina and Shunpo. That I think is going to be the big kind of breakthrough meta deck as we approach seasonals. And so I'm curious to see how people react to it. It's an interesting deck in that it gets like completely smoked by things that have Jinx in it, but it has a great matchup against things that aren't particularly interactive. If you let them just sit there and do their thing, getting the multiple rallies with Katarina every turn is quite powerful, but having to waste a turn to play a Foyer and then drop a Katarina and have her attack for just a little bit of damage, it doesn't really get built up until turn 7 or turn 8. And so the aggro decks of the format, have a chance to punch through before it's able to do anything. And so I did want to mention it. I don't intend on changing our lineup to account or to accommodate for it. I've made one change within our deck list that I was kind of thinking of doing anyways, and we'll talk about that as it comes up. But to get you familiar with what we're doing, if you haven't caught our previous videos, we are playing the Katarina Leona deck. I'm quite happy with this, the collection of cards in it and everything. It's quite optimized in my opinion. I'm not really interested in making any changes in this one. The only place I would really kind of look to potentially make some edits as seasonals comes around is maybe cutting one copy of Solari Priestess for something else. But I'm quite happy with the Priestesses, the Telstones, the Shunpos, everything we have going on here. Quite happy with, easily my favorite deck of the current format. Up next, we have Blue Gwen. This is another deck I'm quite happy with. I really like the Spirits Unleashed in this format. It really tears through a lot of the aggro decks and the go wide decks, and I like the potential that brings into us. I've been quite happy with this deck as well. It gives us another angle of attack against the opposing decks, and so it's not like we're playing three aggro decks. We're not playing three control decks. We have one aggro deck, one kind of mid-rangey, overwhelming kind of thing. And then last but not least, we do have that mid-rangey control deck, Aatrox Kane. This is where our one change has come in. I cut out one copy of the Darkened Harp. I've dropped us down to 9 equipment to add in one copy of the Violent Discord. This is a potential way to come in and kill Katarina. If things are kind of going in your way, you can potentially kill her on turn 3. But it does give us a little bit of interactivity that I feel like the deck was lacking. This is one of these odd decks to where you can draw things in the wrong order and you just get completely smoked. And so I've been wanting just like stuff to do in the early game. That's why we're playing the 3 copies of Shadowblade Fanatic, just to help make sure that we have something to do in that early game. And that's what the Violent Discord adds in as well. Just give us something to interact with the opponent in the early game, maybe kill a Katarina, maybe kill a Nora, even if it's just killing like a 3-1 fearsome unit or something like that. Just gives us something to do with our mana in the early game if we have one of these kind of awkward draws with Aatrox Kane. And so that's the lineup. Let's go ahead and jump on into battle, see what we can do. Oh shit, I almost forgot, man. We got to pay the pay-to-win price. How can you expect to win without doing that? I know what we got to pay up on. I looked before we started. We got to boost up the Sun Guardian. This is it. This is the last one that we haven't turned premium in our Leona Katarina deck. All the cards are premium. We got both the Battle Academia skins. Just things are looking good. Leona's out here eating her broccoli and stuff. I'm hype. I hope you are too. Let's get this going on. Gotta get that game sound fixed. We were watching a little football yesterday while we were doing a little laddering, and Gotta adjust the sound so you can properly hear your Tony Romos of the world. All right. It was not a very exciting day of football. We can talk about that more in a moment, I guess. But looking at this set, I'm fine to leave in Aatrox Vein. This is not a deck that I get like really scared about. It's fine. It's just not something I feel like we're ever really going to be banning. If we had a really like aggro-centric lineup, then we could see doing it, but I think our other matchups are going to be kind of okay. Up next is Zilean. I never respect Zilean, so we'll leave that up. That brings us down here to Seraphine Victor, which looks to me to be the one that we want to take out. And let's see if we get started. Let's go ahead and jump on in with Leona Katarina. But no, it wasn't a particularly interesting day of football. It was disappointing with the Bills and the Bengals game. Just a complete blowout, and then the 49ers game was just a complete snooze fest. And so, they all can't be winners, but I don't feel like anyone really won yesterday. This is just fucking boring. But it is what it is. Get to watch the Bengals trounce the Chiefs next week, and then we can wait on that Super Bowl. All right, though. Get ready for battle. A nice little start with the rear guard and the Sun Guardian. The Zilean deck, I assume, is the one that's just trying to pop off with the time bombs. It's typically like a time bomb recursion deck. I assume that's what we're going to be seeing, and I'm okay to play against it. I hate this card so much. Really hate that Fallen Feline exists, but we hopefully have enough health to fight through it, since we're going to be starting off with a pretty quick Sun Guardian. Just so many games with that dumb card come down to like, oh, did you predict into that in the first 2 or 3 turns? And then cool, you win. Did you miss all of your predicts? Cool, you lose. Like, it's just such a dumb card. Like, I really hope that ends up getting rotated as that time comes upon us. This strikes me as one of those cards. Whoever goes, man, I had so much fun today. I played a I played a Hexite crystal. Nobody. That's not any fucking fun. Oh, I got this kitty down here just eyeballing me. Yeah, we can get the kitty up in the screen. She says, "What up, everybody?" I'm disappointed in football too. You a little disappointed? But all right, as this goes on, no reason to just come in and trade away our Sun Guardian. It's going to grow within the next couple of turns. We have the ways to stun his big unit out of combat as well, and so we don't have to be super aggressive coming up on this next turn. We can deal with this accordingly, and I assume he's probably not going to be attacking with it. Sunhawk doing a little bit of work. I'm going to go ahead and get down the Region Rearguard as well. We're not going to have 3 mana next turn for a Nox and Fervor because we're most certainly playing Leona. And we should still have a pretty decent attack with it if we play Leona, stun the 4/4, and then we look to hook in likely Zilean. But see what happens. Then we start to pop off with Leona after this. The opposing deck shouldn't have too many answers to her. And as we cycle around to our next combat and get 2 stuns with the Solari Sunhawk, it makes me feel pretty safe. No drop borders, no Hexite crystals. Cool. Let the battles commence. Sure. So, sad day to lose out on our Sun Guardian, but we have an overwhelmingly powerful board now. Should be pretty tough for an opponent to recover from this. Just need to get in a little bit more chip damage before the burn will finish off the day. Ooh, Katarina finishes off the day. Oh, this kitty just keeps looking at me longingly. She needs some pets. I didn't mean to make her life be so hard. Who would have known? The hard life of a kitty. Alright, but I think we're in pretty good shape here. We're just going to open attack next turn. He should hopefully have trouble dealing with Katarina. You know, he's got his second Fallen Feline now. Maybe he'll hit a Hexite Crystal at this point, but I don't think it's anything to worry about. Oh, we missed out on that. We should have pinged that feline. We weren't going to need the mana. I think this game's still just locked away, but that was pretty sloppy. Alright, so we got our first attack in. That's nice. Now we can either just kill him with the Nox and Fervor. No need to rush the Nox and Fervor. This deck does play things like Rite of Negation, but we can still play like a Sunhawk, stun 2 units, Katarina, get a rally, and have mana to Nox and Fervor at the end of the day. So should be irrecoverable for old Lagwees. Lagwees wasn't out here just talking about football the whole time, you know? So his struggles aren't nearly as hard. Alright, he's out of cards. GG. Alright, on to the next battle. Alright, the battles of Aatrox coming upon us. Let's see what happens. I would imagine the Aatrox Zillion matchup's just completely fine. Like, it's a deck that's so centered on blowing up opposing aggression with the Time Bombs and the Hexite Crystals, and we just don't really have to care about it. I feel like this matchup's going to be a little bit more challenging, but we should still have the edge. Alright, it is a matchup where I like the Unforgiven Cold, but I think that's a little bit of an aggressive keep there to hang on to that early. Just where they're going to develop their powers if they get the 4-cost scout unit, put a good equipment on it, and we just don't have a direct answer to it. Typically when that guy hits the board, we just have to sit around and take a bunch of damage. But if that doesn't unfold for the opponent, then we're typically okay. See if he plays a Darken Harp, quick attack Harp, and we get the big boom out of the Violent Discord. I would dig it. Come in for that point of damage, bruh. Uh-oh. That bird's not doing anything today. So what do we got? No equipment still? Very awkward. Like I was saying, these are the kind of awkward draws you can run into, is to where you have the units but no equipment. You can draw a bunch of equipment but no units. You can actually physically draw your Aatroxes and Canes and not have anything to do until like the 4th turn of the game. It has a lot of very awkward draws that you have to try and navigate around, but the preferred way to have it happen is at least just having a bunch of units. So, if we just had a handful of 6 equipment, we wouldn't be doing anything. But, we're still getting attacks in here, and we're ready to pop off as soon as an equipment turns up. So what you got for us? An Elkin. Okay. Any equipment, but the Darkened Fan on top. So I would assume that he's going to like Darken Harp the Broadwing and get in at least one good attack this turn. That's okay. We haven't had to run into that big scout unit yet. That's really all I worry about here. It's the Harp on the Elkin. Interesting. So I guess our question is going to be do we even want to bother with playing Kayn next turn? And I don't think we do. Like, I kind of want to just keep her in the box and put that equipment on it, but I don't think that's going to come together how we want. Let's just start passing. Make him attack first. I don't care a ton if our dudes get hit with a fish fight here. That would be the singular card to worry about with these. But, I mean, maybe we do play Kayn, and then just look to Darken Harp a Buru Cultist next turn. Or we could even Darken Harp the Bakai. Okay. I'm convinced. He's got that fish fight. He's thinking about it. He's eyeballing it. saying I just can't quite pull the trigger on this one. Alright, Kayn, do your thing. Interesting he didn't come in. I'm not wanting to run Arcane into a sharp sight, and so I'm just going to hook in the Broadwing. It's also kind of nice to take away the Challenger unit for the upcoming turn, and so he does have the sharp sight. Oh shit, that's a formidable unit. Oops. Well, we were right to a degree. Right, we knew that we didn't want to lose Arcane to a sharp sight, so we didn't hook in the Elkin. Just didn't stop to consider the Broadwing causing trouble. But I think we're still okay here. Much do we have to worry about Aatrox? We're probably gonna want to strike him down. It's a very scary way to go about it. Okay, let's just pass. We have to put a unit in front of him and spend a Furious Wielder. So, at least if we get inside of combat, we're probably okay. Outside of combat, it might be a bit of a problem. And when he just picked up a second Aatrox. It's we kind of need our Bakai to die so we can replay the thing, and then we can play our Darken cards to get equipment that way. I think we just have to accept that the Aatrox is going to be booming for a while. Okay, if that's the case, let's just get the Cultist on board. Inspired Light, interesting. We actually have a board of size to make the light interesting. Alright, not quite sure if he was just attempting to level up his World Ender, or if he didn't realize the Ambitious Cultist was just going to win that combat. But at the end of the day, that turned out okay for us. And another Cultist. The downside for him this round is we can't Furious Wielder and get the Cultist on board. So I'm just going to go with the Keeper of the Box. We'll follow up with Inspired Light. See if we can't get any strikes to come in on Aatrox. Oh, that's fucking annoying. Are we okay if he scouts? I think it's fine. We're going to kill most of his board this turn anyways. That's right, he's gonna tumble Valor. He's out of mana now. We can just take 4. Or, I mean, we could Furious Wielder right now, but I'm a little bit more interested in Furious Wieldering the Aatrox. And, I mean, we're about to gain 8 health back, right? We've got these 2 lifesteal things, and we're going to get a Darkened Dragon, whatever it's called, coming out of the Bakai. Pretty sure it's called Darkened Dragon, right? I'm pretty confident in that. All right, we'll let him hang on to the vein and generate another tumble. It's if he wants to go into the next turn and really wants to spend 6 mana on playing the fresh Aatrox, I think that's okay. Gets us pretty close to the lethals. if he's just going to go for that. He does have the mana to World Ender, but he doesn't have the cards on board for it anymore. I think this is fine. Is he really going for World Ender?
Fascinating, the overlap between magic and science.
Only war can bring me peace.
I seek a weapon worthy of Nagakeburos.
Yeah, let's just get all this stuff on the board. We can take all this damage and not worry about it this turn. He can't attack with the Vein anyways. So I think this is okay. Alright, so he's out of mana. The block on the Dark Enthrall isn't really required, do we? This is one of these spots where it's like, do I ever lose the game if we don't, or do I ever win the game if we don't win the combat on the next turn? And we probably don't. But there shouldn't be any like mid-combat things he can play to take down the cultist. Okay. So I loaded up our weakest unit with the Dragon Maker thing. I'm going to put the Darkened Scythe onto Keeper of the Box. Just I don't want to make our Keeper of the Box units too juicy, you know. So we'll keep those out of the equation. Now we have this Ruthless Predator as well, so we can bring in one of these. Let's send our worst unit to the back. I mean, do we ever... I guess that's worth considering is, like, this is lethal, right? This is 17. He can put Vayne in front of the Keeper of the Box. We're still dealing 6 through the 3 units. I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to send... Give you 2 attack, give Aatrox vulnerable, hook Aatrox into the 6. And so now this way... If he blocks Vayne, or he blocks our Keeper of the Box with Vayne, and then has a Concerted Strike to kill another unit, he's still taking 6 off of our other guys. We've completely nuked his board. His Aatrox is down. I think this is good.
Yes, it is.
All right. I guess the thing to have worried about there was if he did have Concerted Strike, he could get a strike out of Kayn, or a strike out of Aatrox as a way to gain 2 health. And so that would have been a potential reason to not do it, but that's tough. It's close. But victory achieved. On to the next one. So what do we got here? We got Ezreal Teemo, Zoe Yuumi. This is just like all elusives decks, right? And I would assume, well, what is this no champion deck at the end? I'm not quite certain. I guess we'll find out. I'm just gonna ban out Zoe Yuumi. That's not even gonna be completely elusives, right? Like why would you play Freylord? It probably is elusives, and they're just playing Spirits Unleashed. All right, well, let's lead off with Katarina. I think it's tough with Aatrox Kayn. Like these strike me as matchups that aren't going to be too impressive. Just these the aggro decks you can't interact with can give you some trouble. But if it gets to the point where you're starting to heal, then you tend to just take over the games. Okay, it's like... It has to just be a spirit, like triple spirits with index, right? Spirits Unleashed, whatever we're calling it. I can't stop calling it Spirits Within. So it is what it is. Alright, maybe he'll give us a little info on turn 1 here. Does not real certain with what we're up against. Looks like elusives, right? It'll be probably... playing the Spirits Unleashed but doesn't want to play Ahri. Like, Ahri doesn't really fit me as a requirement anymore. That's what I'm sticking with until I see otherwise.
Unyielding light.
Boom.
Light.
Do we want to start like Sunhawk and this stuff? If he plays Shimon Wind, I guess he can just open attack, but I'm curious if the Sunhawk is the way to go to shut some of this stuff down. I think he's thinking if he wants to spend his 5 mana on the Spirits Unleashed. Yep. Okay. So slightly awkward on this upcoming turn. We don't have a way to boost the Sun Guardian, and we probably just want to get Katarina on board. So we'll see what she can do. Her Blade's Edge isn't enough to kill any units now, but the threat of the rally should carry us far. Opponent really doesn't want her to flip here, but it should take quite a bit of effort to actually take her down. I think the thing that annoys me the most these days is Katarina having Ephemeral, getting to strike and not die. I feel like a lot of problems of the world would be solved if if that got hotfixed or something.
The order rewards its faithful.
All right, so do we want to play the Blade's Edge? We've got like 7-8 burn in hand. I don't think so. It's like we get in this spot 2 turns from now to where like we can play Leona on this upcoming turn, stun something, then play Ravoon on the follow-up turn, and then have 3 mana banked up for the Nox and Fervor. But at that point, we should be able to just Nox and Fervor on the opposing turn. Let's just send it face. All the decimates. You can just turn it and burn it now if you want. I'm not gonna bring it like that, but the option's there.
The power of the immortal sun.
All right, so we'll see how deep we can get on this upcoming turn. So what we're going to do here, we'll take the 3 from the Shadow Assassin. Okay, on this upcoming turn, we're going to tempo down the Avarosian Hearthguard with our Sunhawk. We should have a pretty good attack at that point, and then we can come in with the Katarina for the rally. And if we don't have enough damage at that point, then we still have all these decimates and all this burn for the upcoming turn. He shouldn't be anywhere near a space to where he's going to be able to lethal us on the next attack. I guess you could play like some kind of weird Gringley duo combo of cards, but it's going to be a stretch. Right. Time for the aggros, right? The best thing you can be doing in the world. Attacking. Sending your Legion rear guards into the red zone. Oof. Feels so good. If you've watched the movie Old School recently, I do find myself relating to Frank the Tank on occasion. So I love the line so much. There's the line where Frank turns up at the college party and he says he can't drink because he's got a big day the next day. They say, Frank, what do you have lined up for the next day? He says, oh, it's a big day. I got to go to the Home Depot, maybe Bed Bath & Beyond. I just don't know if there's enough time. And when you're in like I forget when that movie came out. It was probably like like 2005. I'm pretty sure I was in college. It's like it just sounds so ridiculous, and you're like, that'll never be me. I'll never be that guy. And then you get old. You get old. You get old. The boomer age like bust. And you say, I do need a new bedspread. All right, dude's got some cards. He's doing some mean stuff to us. Bringing in the harsh winds. Gotcha. I'm still think we're okay with this Katarina angle. His blocks, again, not very good. It's nice to clear some of these units off of the board. And then if he, for whatever reason, doesn't want to block any of our stuff, we're really close to just killing him with Decimate. I suspect he has to take the trades in here. But then you start to run into that problem of, well, you know, if I'm going to come in and take the blocks, how do I ever win this game? And it should be, you know, pretty tough to win. And what's he going to do? Open attack? If he doesn't open attack, we're just going to Leona stun him again. He knows he's in a rough spot. I wonder if this is a deck to where we ever have to worry about like denies and nopifies. I would feel much more comfortable in seasonals. Like knowing knowing exactly what we were playing up against up at the start, knowing that these were elusives decks, and then B, also knowing if we could just be like, decimate, you know. that's the play of the day. Just decimate, you know. Drop it in here. All right. Well, we can definitely just drop it in here now. Nothing to get out of that. All right, GG. Let's see how old Aatrox Kane handles these things. Maybe we'll surprise him with the Violent Discord. Let's say that was not supposed to happen. Say, old bust, what are you playing these shitty burn spells for? Okay, interesting though. All elusives. I'm kind of surprised. Like we touched on the elusives a little bit with the Poros and Jinx. I'm curious if this wouldn't be like I get that he's trying to play triple spirits with Spirits Unleashed, and that's how these kind of split apart. But I'd be curious if playing like the Jinx elusives and then playing Teemo Zoe like was really big at Worlds, and then figuring out a third way to get your other elusive deck in there. Wonder if there'd be a bit of power in that. I thought the Jinx deck was close to being good. I don't feel like we had the exact numbers locked in to perfection, but I thought it had the opportunity to be competitive. All right, though, what you got for us here? Don't need any Darkened Spears. It's like I would really prefer just to find like interactive cards. I mean, I know the Buru Cultist isn't going to be doing much at this space. I think we just let this one go. He brings in the Omen Hawk. Okay. I'm not going to equip this Bakai next turn, and I'm not going to play the Violent Discord next turn, and so we're just going to end up banking next turn and then playing the Shadowblade Fanatic. The only thing that would get me to change my tune on that would be a Greenglade Duo. So if he plays Greenglade Duo, I will go ahead and kill it. But, I mean, I wonder if we should just be killing whatever he plays anyways. Getting the two stats out of the Darkened Spear, not super relevant, but if he's going to come back and... like, if he's going to play a Spirits Unleashed and we can't kill anything with the Discord then. Like, I know we can kill some of these 1 health units, but... probably just need to prevent the damage. Interesting option, given the Blade Scout doesn't really get to deal any more damage after this turn. But it is a nice target if you're playing like Navori Conspirators. You get the elusive again in the future. Alright. But Shadowblade Fanatic's still good. We don't need the ephemeral this turn anyways, so he's still doing his thing. We don't have any equip cards to play next turn, so yeah, seems fine. Now I'm curious if we get the shutdown on the Blade Scout. That's kind of the big thing for the round, right?
What could you ever teach me?
All right, we'll give you a just in case here. We'll go ahead and drop the equipment. I don't want to run into the Blade Scout and then have a Twin Disciplines. That's just awkward and silly and not something we need to be losing our unit to. We're not going to surprise them with this Furious Wielder this round, so I think it's okay to go ahead and equip.
All things can be analyzed, even dark.
All right, there's the Kayn. We really need to get our Kayn and Aatrox into action here. I would like to 3-bank this round. Yeah, if we can drop Kayn next turn and Furious Wielder and then follow up on the next turn with Aatrox, that does give us the heal that we might need to get through this. Plays a Hearthguard. Okay. Not worried about the ground units. We can fuck around for days with these ground units. It's it's the units on the back line that scare me. And so if we have to throw something in front of the Hearthguard, that's completely fine.
Amarosans, stand together.
Is your back line coming in?
A new energy source.
So is that where we want to be? Like, we can go ahead and strike down the Dancing Droplet. I was trying to think what happens if we play Kayn, then we strike with Kayn. Next turn, we can then hook with Kayn and get the flip. But he's not going to be gaining us any health anytime soon. Let's just go ahead and try and prevent the 2 points of damage here. Maybe the Shimon Wind was the target we should have hit, but
The child is gone.
he's going to continue to get the cycle out of it. This is another spot to where we were lost a point of damage. I still really have in my head that, like, as long as we aren't... Like, the longer this game drags on, the greater and greater our advantage becomes. And so he does get that advantage out of the Shimon Wind with the card draw now, but that was a point of damage we got to prevent. Now he has to decide if he wants to put the Shimon Wind in front of our Kayn.
We follow the legends until we become them.
Okay. Unforgiven Cold should be quite good next turn.
Cowards hide.
But another opportunity to take down an elusive. I don't think things are going to get too wild and crazy this turn to where we would have to worry about playing the Unforgiven Cold to protect our Kayn. But there's no real reason to risk it, I don't think.
All that lives, I will end.
So Aatrox in. We'll get the Bakai in as well. Dude's really limited on his elusives now, so I'm more than happy to ground pound up here with the likes of the Hearthguard, but again, those elusives are the ones that are scary to me. Alright, the Shimon Wind. And an Omen Hawk. That's a big old Omen Hawk. I did the mathematics on that one. That dude's huge. Now this is interesting with the Heedless Resurrection. If we want to say just throw away our Aatrox and just pick one right back up. I don't think we do. I think we want to go with the Furious Wielder, but we can't do both next turn, right? We can't Wielder and we're looking to play the Frostbite card that's down at the bottom. Okay. I think it's still fine. Then he has to open, right? We're not going to get to drop our Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend to be pretty clutch on this board. There's no way he comes in and like overwrites something. I guess he could play a Spirits Unleashed before combat. That would make some sense to me, but otherwise it's like he's got to be opening.
Banner will lead the way.
Nobody else come into the party? I'd like to kill your units. You know what I'm saying, man? I'd like to get in here and kill some of your battlers. Oh boy, there's a big one.
Catch the wind! Down from the trees!
Just the two. Alright, well, it's not lethal, so let's go with the Furious Wielder. I don't think this ever gets denied, but he could certainly have something like a Twin Disciplines to try and get out of this. I'm curious how much space you actually have for combat tricks if you're playing a bunch of Hearthguards and Revnas and Spirits Unleashed. Like, do you really have space for Troll Chants after that? I don't know. I don't know, fam. Just thinking on it real hard, though. This Canna Let Bust Boom. My favorite unit. How big is this thing? It's got so many stats. One from Omen Hawk, one from Hearthguard, two from Revna. I guess Revna's where a lot of the stats are coming through. Now, do we want to equip any of this stuff? It's like, do we want to put the Dark and Blood Letters on the Shadow Fiend before we glimpse from beyond it? I don't think we're going to be world ending next turn. It's like we're kind of hosed for some of these combats because his units are so big. Like, we'll still get a good combat with the Kayn. Aatrox is going to struggle. I just worry about another turn like the previous one, to where he has a big elusive, but it's kind of the same size as the guys on his back line. And we don't get as many opportunities to take those down.
The dark beckons.
Shimon Wind on the board. Shadow Assassin coming through. Scary stuff. Scary stuff. Furious Wielder was a nice draw. So this is our only good attack, right? Now, I mean, we're probably gonna be world ending this turn. If we assume that Kayn wins this combat, and then we get to have the world ender for 12. I don't know what else we're doing this round. Hey, dude, we could have added a Darken, but I don't feel like adding Striatu was that big of a deal. But, I mean, as we are about to face down these elusives. I think it's okay, though. I'll feel a little bit better having this, like, 10-10... this 10-10 Aatrox on the board when we need to use our strike card next turn. The bummer here is we're like 1 mana short. We have the Unforgiven Cold, we have the Furious Wielder at 9. We can't protect from a Harsh Winds or something with the Expanse's protection. But kind of like with that previous combat, like how does he really have enough stuff, right?
You are the tool. I am the weapon.
It's a feeble mind.
I live for those who do not.
All right, well, here come the elusives. Wonder if we ever get an opportunity to Deathbringer strike. We do. Is it too obvious we're up to shenanigans if we strike down the 6 attack one? Right, because the Shadow Assassin is one that we're currently hitting with the Unforgiven Cold. I think this is okay. Right, we don't want our Unforgiven Cold hitting his ground-based units, and so this does give us an answer. Fuck. It does give us an answer to the backline Shadow Assassin. How much is this now? $7 and $5. Oh man, we could have Expanse's protection before we did that, but it wouldn't have been enough to. I was thinking we were going to get the second Deathbringer slash in.
We fight as one.
Yeah. Alright, GG. That's brutal. It's just tough to decide where that stuff actually comes from, right? And that if you're playing Revna and playing, you know, like all of the stat boosting cards, where do you realistically find the space to also play the interactivity? It kind of felt like he had something on that previous combat. He sat there and thought around for like an hour with his units in the middle of the board. So as our Aatrox was striking, it definitely felt like he had something. But I think our mistake in that game was likely we had that opportunity to kill his Shimon Wind at the cost of a point of damage. And then he got to draw like 2 or 3 more cards off that Shimon Wind. I feel like regardless of all those shenanigans about how the decks worked, I think that was our problem with the game. I feel like we would have probably taken that one down pretty handily had he not had those extra cards. But victory is his. Lessons learned for us. On to the next one. Let's hang on to the Bakai, look for some of our early game dudes. Keeper of the Box is a nice addition. Hopefully lets us stall for a little bit. Get those life steals in. We did pick up the Bloodletters. Interesting. It's not gonna like life steal us on the early turns of the game. Don't really want any of this stuff. We really need an equipment. Well, we have the Dark and Bloodletters, but we need more equipments. Alright, Teemo coming at us. Let's see what else we can do. We're going to definitely need to be a little bit defensive with this momentous choice. It's going to feel pretty bad if we like start loading up dudes with equipment and then just get tempoed by a Mystic Shot. So I think this is okay. He can't Mystic Shot us anymore. I'm fine to trade the Bakai for the Omen Hawk and also pick up the equipment thing. And then we should start you know, healing back on the upcoming turn between the Keeper of the Box and the Fan. See if we can't out-Ray Soul Teemo and Acorn. Oh boy. That's a delightful set of units. That's delightful. Alright, we got plenty of heal here. I'm going to lead with the Bloodletters onto the Keeper of the Box. I do want to put the Darkened Fan onto the Darkened Thrall. We'll see if he survives the round. See if we... Okay, see if we got to deal with any of that dumb shit. But getting to heal back is nice, and then having Kayn after this turn, nice as well. Wonder if he's going to bring in a Unforgiven Cold here. Nope. Well, I'll take the stats, please. I'm curious what Babbling Bjerg picks up. It has to be an Avarosian Hearthguard, right? I think so. I'm okay with the Hearthguard coming down. We have plenty of time in that sense. We just need to start getting our strikes in with Kayn. Taking down some of these elusives. Curious if we shouldn't have loaded up the Darkened Thrall. It's like I have to worry since we have the Sting Officer things in our deck.
The child is gone. The killer remains.
Today we fight as one.
All right. Getting a little damage on the Hearthguard isn't terrible. And we get to threaten him down with our Darkened Thralls now. We get that Teemo flip as well. Everybody at home gets to start squeezing your butt cheeks. Squeeze him real tight, squeeze him real good. Alright, so let's see what he follows up with here. I'm not, like, upset about trading Aatrox with a Hearthguard if we have to. It's not that big of a deal. It's down to 2 mana now. Okay. Let's send him in. He doesn't have the mana to play like a Spirits Unleashed and kill our Aatrox at the end of the day, so the attack should be pretty safe.
This is our homeland. Stand and defend.
Alright, squad. Not bad. See if he's going. We've got him down to 4 now, and we have a ton of width generation in our hand. We might be able to just swing through all of that, or I mean, we can look to use the Furious Wielder on the Kayn and give him Overwhelm, and use that as another way to try and take the game down. Interesting. It's like, do we have to worry about the Teemo problem if he's able to attack through for a bunch of damage? It can be scary. He can be scary. I give him that. Let's went ahead and put another Unforgiven Cold on top. Like, I just have a hard time seeing how we lose this if we are able to protect our units like this. So I'm gonna hang on to that.
Pledge to the dark within.
On foot.
And this has to be attacked with just elusives, right? He's not going to be sending in his ground units. If he sends his ground units in, I think we just have to 100% assume that he's got another Harsh Winds. That's fairly okay here. I think we're safe from getting burnt out. Excellent. So right, this gives us another angle of attack. The red cane will have overwhelm. I wonder if this is a world to where you ever think about going for an elusive cane. I don't think we want to in this space because we've got him so close to the lethal. But you gotta think about that on occasion. You know, if he's coming at you with the elusives, you do have the opportunity to go for the never used version of cane, if you will.
Don't blink or you miss me.
Right, and then how do we feel about world ending? It's not particularly good here.
A greater power lurks beyond darkness. We were born to rule.
All right, Revna comes in. She's not big enough to take down Aatrox. So I think that's all that really matters to me. We want to come for one of these. No real reason to attack with the back line. We can't make them big enough to be scary. Oh shit, we're not anywhere near lethaling him now. I forgot about that angle of the problem. He gained the 4 off the Hearthblood thing. Alright, well let's do a little bit more life stealing. Gain as much health as we can with this Keeper of the Box. That seems a little better. So we'll leave Ezreal up. We do have to worry about him a little bit. Looks like he might actually have an answer to our Aatrox. I can't tell if he's just throwing the big stats in front of him because he has a burn spell or what's happening there, but I feel fairly safe here. Yep. Whenever it comes time to World Ender, we can still put the Aatrox weapon onto like the Bakai and then do it. Alright, seems fine. Start to say, hurry up, bro, I gotta pee. Can we make this game end faster so I can use the bathroom? I'd appreciate it. That's unfortunate. We didn't play our we didn't play our equipment on the previous turn, and now we're really getting punished for it. I don't think we lose the game here, but losing out with that unit when we have the World Ender in hand it's kind of a bummer. Especially if he's going to start Mystic Shotting our stuff. Alright, I think we're fine though. Omen Hawk's not going to save the day. Oof. Alright, we'll get that potty break before you know it. Before you know it. Ooh, Puffcap's coming in. I forgot that those were a thing.
Life is precious. It must be protected.
Right, so I'm going to drop Zolani. I'm going to drop the big form of the Darkened Fan. Should be good to go from here. Just got to hook this 10-10 out of combat. Another challenger? Oh, Kane. Forgot about Kane. I guess he has two big ones, but is this enough for lethal? Should I pay more attention? I'm really focused on my bladder at the moment, and so all right, I think we're good. All right, GG, my friend. Well played. On to the next one. On to the bathroom. Old people problems, man. Get old and see if you could make it through a whole movie without having to go to the bathroom. You gotta pick the appropriate moments. All right, next battle. Oh, so what do we got here? We've got Rumble Vein, sure. Got Sundisk, which will never ban, and then it looks like a Dragon's deck to the end. And so this is kind of an interesting set in that the what do you call it? Leona deck really has a strong matchup against Rumble, but Aatrox Kane kind of gets crushed by Rumble. And so I think at the end of the day, we're just going to leave that one up and kind of hope for the best. Hopefully we can pick on the Sundisk here. And I'm actually, maybe we do ban out Rumble and then just try to deal with the Dragons. It's like, I'm just not excited about the Sejuani deck or Katarina against the Dragons, but I'm thinking that kind of in terms of having to play with like pirates, and we're not playing pirates with Leona. We have a lot more mid game than usual, so I think that's okay. I'm going to lead off with Aatrox Kane here. See what we're up against, and it is the Sundisk. Strap in for movie time. Talking about movies, right? Probably got to stop and take a leak in the middle of this one. That's the way it works, right? Old people in their movies. I was thinking of like how long the movies are in terms of like the last like 3 hour monstrosity I had to sit through, and I think it was probably just the Avengers Endgame, but there's no need for a movie to be that long. It's just too much. It's too much. All right, so here we're starved for equipment. We don't have any in this set. I'm fairly tempted just to pick up the Bakai, because it does let us continue on curve and then get another 4 shots at an equipment on the next turn. So I think he's fairly worthwhile here. I'm going to lead off with the Buru Cultist, though. If he comes in with a Rockhopper, I want the Forsaken Bakai to be the one that has to eat the Roiling Sands. Missed again. Sad day. Might have to wait until Kane comes online before we get the equipment down. We tried real hard, man. We tried real good. There's an equipment. We did cut one of them out of our deck, though. You know, that's worth taking note of. We were playing 10. We cut out a Darkened Harp. Now we're down to 9, and so you know, every decision has its consequence. Another Darkened Spear, though. That's kind of cool. Not too worried about the Endless Devout. I assumed that was the one that was going to be coming up. I actually like healing through it and not killing it. So having the trade with Rockhopper is fine, but then I'll save our other Bakai just for the time being. Lots of stats on top of our deck now, though. We do need to, you know, kill the opponent kind of quickly. He is playing the Sundisk, but a little bit of value coming up. Can't be watching those Shuriman movies, and it's just a little slow for Aatrox and friends. Ooh, big old Kane, or big old Aatrox.
You are the tool. I am the weapon.
Curious to see how this one goes. Like, you always run into this kind of like cat and mouse game against the Sundisk as to whether or not they're going to have the Zeraths or if they're going to have the if they're going to have the means to kill your units after this, right? With the 4 damage burn spell. With Kayn, I mean, I think I'm willing to just risk it. We have another Kayn in hand. It's not how I want to go about it, but I think we just got to let it go at this point. Like, if we play the Violent Discord, then we don't get any of the bonuses. Now, we could just play a Spear on him. That should take him up to 5 health and protecting. Maybe that's the way we go about it. So now the Rite of Burn, whatever that dumb card is called, the Rite of Burn will take down our Kayn, and we can get him to flip now. Okay, can't quite kill the Rock Bear Shepherd. We took the defensive route with Kayn. Now he doesn't have the stats to kill a 3 health unit. A bit unfortunate, but that's what we decided on. It's what we chose to do. As they say, it is what it is. Pretty big on board now, though. We just need to pop off this World Ender, and then I'll feel pretty safe. We should be able to World Ender before he's able to flip the Sun Disk, but maybe not now. Xerath is far away. He does have 3 landmarks on the board, but Xerath is not exactly close. Could look to kill Azir with like Shadow Step and a card, but it all seems. I'm not excited about any of these words coming out of my mouth, and so. Interesting. So next turn we're gonna have 8 mana. We need to bank 1, and so how can we get the maximum equipments on board? It looks like it's just gonna be a Darkened Spear, but let's go with the Cultist as our way to get that on board. Well, if we do it this way, like if we drop the Fanatic, we'll get the 3 bank either way. I think that's okay. So we aren't losing out on a mana this way. Right, let me double check my maths here. This costs 10. Did we mess that up? We only have 11? Standard. Standard. Messing it up. So we should have equipped and then gotten our flipped dude on the board, but alright. Another day, bust failing at basic math. You know, your expectations should have been set by this point. Alright, so let's see, though. You're going to be a 4/7, right? You get the +1/+1. I think we just want to take down the Rock Bear Shepherd.
Aim for the heart. Give it to me.
Bow before me.
Okay.
Faithless creature.
We could have maybe gotten some additional damage in with the Buru Cultist. It was just it struck me as the kind of space to where it was probably just going to get blocked by Azir. I didn't think we were going to be pulling off a lethal this turn. Hourglass onto that thing. Okay. So he's going to have a fairly big board next turn, but he needs the Xerath to pop off the Sun Disk, and then mean, I think we're okay from there. It's just another quicksand would be annoying, but his board here is just dealt with. I don't care about this stuff.
Our city is in your care, and you in ours.
Cast us to the corners of the world.
All right, we'll try this again. I mean, we should probably just violent discord, right? Give us a chance to take this Azir off of the board. You may have another one, but well, we probably would rather just have that one. No replacement? Okay. All right.
To the reckoning. Submit to me. Beg for mercy.
What you got for us, Anaka's a Striatu and an Anaka. All right, see what we can do. Lots of big stuff coming in. Got him. Hey, GG. The thing with our Sejuani deck is we don't play the Harrowing anymore. The Harrowing was always a pretty reasonable option against the Sundisk, just if they have one of those draws to where Xerath is able to keep your board pretty clear, you just don't have any dudes, and you're just able to go, oops, I'll win. You know, oops, I'll win. That's always one of my favorite things to say. But I think we're okay. Reasonable enough start here. Didn't improve too hard, but get in here, boisterous host. Cannot deploy you to the board fast enough. He never attacks here, which is gonna be a bit of a bummer. Like I think we're stuck just trading the redeemed prodigy. It's not that big of a deal. But we would more ideally be preserving it here. Another unit. Is there a world now to where, like, we just don't attack because we're not dealing any damage this turn? Next turn, we play the Tusk Speaker. This is where I think we go. We play the Tusk Speaker next turn. We get that 1 damage in for the Sejuani tick. And then as it cycles back to our next turn, we're able to Spirits Unleashed, clear out these 1 health units, and hopefully punch in for some real damage. Then it's like, I guess he could have a Rite of Negation. And if he has a Rite of Negation, we missed out on 2 points of damage and 1 Hallowed. But then he's going to have to lose a unit and a Mana Crystal. And so I think this is good. I like it. Look at how meaty all of our units are now. Much meaty. Many size. Many size. The fuck is this stuff? Sands of Time? We haven't seen that since the era of the era of the Thralls. All right. Not a bad round. Our redeemed prodigy survived. We chunked in a little bit of overwhelm. Our Sejuani is getting, primed and ready to level up. Probably won't need it, but something to think about. Probably just gonna drop both Tusk Speakers. You do have that option of looking towards Sejuani, but I think we'll play both. And then just open attack next turn. The fuck is this? Where did this come from? Dragon Roost? Oh, we created a landmark instead of dumping it all into the Sundisk? Who even knew that was an option? Hang on, we gotta just get Sejuani down, right? It's too good. It's too good.
Carved from the savage cold.
Oh, he gets a dragon. Uh-oh. I didn't catch that angle. So I guess our thing to consider here is going to be a quicksand. Like, we can attack with the Tusk Speaker. Try and have that pop off. I think we want to do it like this. And so if he wants to quicksand our overwhelms, he's probably going to lose out on his Zerath, or if he wants to split it apart to let the Tusk Speaker to let the Zerath survive the combat, then we should still just be really close to lethal. Cool. So we'll see if he taps out. We get to kill him with Atrocity. That would be cool. If not, I feel pretty confident going into the next turn anyways. He's down to 2 cards in hand, and our advantage here is pretty big. Alright, so he's down to 3 mana now. This deck, it shouldn't have any heal, but we do have to worry about quicksand. And so if we... I guess that's an argument to not going for it this turn, is if we try an Atrocity Sejuani and then he quicksands her down to 2 attack and we take him to 1, that strikes me as a kind of place to where we could start losing the game. And so let's try and go about this the safer way. He's nowhere near killing us, nowhere near flipping this Sun Disc, so I dig it. He is a little closer to flipping the Sun Disc. Surprised to see him kill off the unit. I guess it makes sense to a degree if he's wanting to make Sand Soldiers with an extra Azir, right? If you draw Zerath, great, you can flip, and otherwise you've hit your Azir, and then you get to generate Sand Soldiers and do some blocking. Got enough at the end of the day? GG Desert Friend. Alright. Alright, next battle. Pre-final battle, if you will. Pre-final battle 0.0. See if we don't have to go to the 0.5. Cruise on in. Curious how these upcoming days will turn out for us in the lands of Runeterra. It's, as February approaches, that's when the big new set and the rotational thing and the new tournament stuff is supposed to have some announcements to go along with it. And the way that I always felt like the set release should be done was how they did it with Worlds, as to where you tie the set release into some kind of big event. And so the set comes out and you have that first weekend of hype and everybody's loving it and enjoying it and having a good time with it. And then, you know, the things start to wane a little bit, and then the big event comes around and people get hyped for the cards again, and then things start to kind of wane, and then the big balance patch comes out and people get hype again. And it seems like they've always done it, you know, kind of backwards, in the sense that the seasonal tournament for a set is at the very end, and nobody's really hype about it anymore. You know, I hate to say that I'm done with the Darkened Saga. I've had a wonderful time with it, and I've had a wonderful time with this patch. I think this has been a very high quality balance patch. But you know, you play it a ton for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever. You want something a little bit different, and it's just always surprised me that kind of hype thing has been a little bit backwards. And I feel like they tried to fix it for Worlds, and now we're like approaching this last seasonals that's just kind of like, well, we got to do it, you know. you gotta get this one out here. We can't just not do it. And I'm kind of curious with the, you know, future set releases after this February one, if they'll kind of tie it in with the events and stuff. But I did see on the Twitter over the past week, Magic Arena had one of their, I don't know what they call it. It's the Magic Arena 2-day events, and that's the way that I think seasonal should kind of ideally fall. I don't really like this. You have to go 7-2 to make the second day, and if you're 7-2, you have to basically be top 100 ladder, or you have to go 8-1. There's just like so many questions in the air, even for getting yourself qualified. You play the last chance gauntlet, you know, if you're qualified. Otherwise, you have to go and like get your ladder rank up to like 200 and just sit on it for a while and hope that that's enough. But hang on, coming into these, how bad is tokens? Like I still, I don't know. We see this deck all the time. I don't know what this deck is with the Braum Tryndamere thing. I never ban it. I'm kind of leaning on, are we okay to just play an Aatrox Kayn mirror match? Because like I'm okay to play Aatrox Kayn with the Leona deck. It's not very good for Gwen, but tokens strikes me as something that can be pretty bad. I'm just gonna leave the off meta deck up. I think Katarina should just smoke tokens, and I don't think the Gwen matchup will be horrible. Then I think both decks are okay against Braum. But no, like the Magic Arena thing, it's like you basically play like 7 rounds or to 2 losses, and then if you get 7 wins, or 7 wins or 2 losses, whatever comes first. If you get 7 wins, you get to play the second day. Second day, you play basically the same thing. I think up to 6 rounds, and if you get the 6 victories, you win like $2,000 or a bunch of gems or something. I don't remember the specifics, but it just seems like the fuck. Why do people do this? this is I'm getting off topic. I'll focus in on the game instead of the other ranting. But this is like the second time we've had this happen to where the person is playing the Sun Disc with another faction, and then they just have it on the first turn. It's very frustrating to see that kind of shit happen. It happened to us, and I don't know if it was in the previous video, then it would have been 2 videos ago. But can you play? You can, I guess, play 3 copies of the Sun Disc in your deck, right? So at the start of your game, summon if your deck's all Shuriman. That's why you typically play the Sun Disc, right? So you just get it into play directly without doing anything. But it's so weird seeing people play like other factions and then just naturally have the Sun Disc on the first turn. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah. Yeah, you heard it here from Bust first. You say, whatever. Lots of summoning going on. We got plenty of health to just soak up this damage. I'm fine to do this. If he wants to attack with the Sand Soldier, I'll prevent with our Soldier as well. It's not that big of a deal. And then we can get in a reasonable attack next turn. I'm just going to come in for the 8. I'm not going to bother with getting the Sunhawk on the board. We'll see if we pick up another card that makes us change our mind. Like if we draw Sun Guardian, then we'll play it and move forward. But the only real reason here to get the bird on board is for that bit of health. Now it's kind of interesting. We picked up Shunpo. It's like if he plays the Dune Keeper, we can almost get him. But it's just too aggressive. So it's like we Shunpo, he plays Dune Keeper, he gets the block on 2, we only get 3 damage. We're super far ahead in this game. I'm not worried about the Shunpo this turn. We'll get it 2 turns from now.
The desert by my side.
All right, I'm going to space out of this game, so we'll start talking about Magic cards again. And so I just thought that was a fantastic way to go about it, in the sense that you kind of like know your time commitment, and then you also know pretty much exactly what you have to do to get from point A to point B, and there's not this kind of like wondering as to whether or not you're qualified for something or what you need to do to get there, or I have 225 LP, but I'm currently sitting at 650 rank and I need to be top 700. Like it's just, to me, I feel like if you want to have that really big competitive scene, that's kind of unacceptable, and so we'll see if they change anything. Alright, but this is okay. We're losing out on a unit here. I was hoping that we would get like a really big open attack on this upcoming turn. Didn't quite come together, but we're still fine. We're not struggling at all. Now Katarina just turns up. Is that who we want to go with? Or are we gonna Shunpo? Like, I just worry about our Leona falling here. So let's activate the shield bearer. That's going to pop off the Leona. She'll stun a unit, pick up a barrier. We can then drop in Katarina. Maybe we'll get to spike one of these 1 health units and get an extra attack in this round. It does look like the stun is landing on the sparring student, and so I get that opportunity.
Go get the shiny dove. No going back.
Otherwise, I mean, he's just doing a bunch of stuff we don't care about. I think we'll end up being okay. We Rite of Callings without sacrificing a unit. I guess it would just get counterspelled. Well, you could Rite of Calling away the sparring student, but it's not going to feel good either way. This game should be pretty done here. All right, boom it. Okay. So reasonable stuff. Again, I feel like our deck should be pretty good against tokens, even if it's not doing Sundisk stuff, if it's the more aggressive stuff we come to expect. Just having those really big sunbursty units does such a wonder in terms of just soaking up those go wide attacks. And then if you get the stun onto a critical unit, if you get a stun onto an Irelia or get a stun onto a Green Glade duo, you can just prevent so much of their damage. So, felt pretty reasonable there. All right, now onto this deck again. Like I don't know what the deal with this thing is. I think you see it literally all the time. I still don't know what is actually going on with this deck, but if we haven't figured it out by now, then who's the real loser? Am I right? Sounds like it's probably me. All right, not a great start though. I was okay to hang on to Ancient Yeti here. He should be pretty meaty and get in front of a lot of their units with a pretty good safety net, but hoping to pick up a 1 or a 2 drop along the way. Phantom Butler finally coming to the party. Okay, so let me spend that mana.
I'll do my best.
Hardly fair.
Go for the Inner Beast. Save this Unspeakable Horror. Like, I like the idea of being able to send the Unspeakable Horror at the face if we need to try and level up Sejuani, or sending it at like a barrier. This deck does play Lux, and so I have some decent options with it.
This is a chance for me to leave my mark.
Let us get going.
I'm going to give him the thing. I want to get our Gwen leveled up. She's going to be much more powerful on the next turn once we get the, if we want to get the Overwhelm stance attached to her. And we're really worried about Braum. We did pick up the Vengeance. I don't think we're going to be Vengeancing this turn, but the option's there.
We fight for one Freljord.
We need to wait on the stance. Let's get the Yeti in. Looks like we'll probably have to take 5 this turn from the Hearthguard. That's manageable.
This is fun, yes?
Gain a lot of it back with Gwen.
A brief engagement, but a joyous one.
All right, let's get ready for battle. Now my units are the big ones, right? We'll keep the Boisterous Host at home. There's no reason to send it in here. It's just a free block with the Hearthguard. If we want with the Host, we can use it to block the Hearthguard next turn. If he's going to come in and have some kind of weird combat trick here, we do have the Vengeance into the Hearthguard now. So we're a little bit safe in that sense, at least. Protect our Gwen. She's going to level up off of the Snip Snip.
One stitch at a time, we'll make something totally new.
Look at that Star Guardian Gwen doing Star Guardian things. Pretty cool. Lux. Getting scary. This is not going good for us. These atrocities are a bit off in terms of what we need to try and do. Got to get a Nightfall, so let's go ahead and drop in the Unspeakable Horror. We should be pretty close to a lethal next turn with the atrocities, and we have to worry about Frostbites. If he hits us with a Frostbite as we're trying to get clever on the board, then not going to be good. Alright, just give it one of these, so we'll kill the Braum. Make sure he's not going to flip. Okay, he needs 3 damage, so the Unspeakable Horror is okay. Prevent the damage from Lux. The Boisterous Host is okay to die. See what we pick up. Ooh, the Winding Light. Very interesting. He's a little bit too expensive at the moment, but a lot of potential for him if we... Oh, boys. Oh, boys. That's what you want to be seeing. And Tryndamere. Well, how much is this? This just wins the game. Nope, did I mess that up? I paused the video to sneeze, and then I brought it back and got confused. But I think we're okay here. This looks like it's going to work. Oh, no, actually that... Oh, how much is the Snip Snip? It's for 4? And then we throw for 8. Okay, we're fine. I think this works. You can just throw a backline unit, but the backline units don't... they can get Brittle Steeled. Okay, they changed this, right? It used to be you could kill Gwen, but then the Snip Snip didn't do anything. Good thing. Good time to learn that before we before we dive into seasonals when it really matters. Okay, good stuff. So we made our way to the final battle. See what we can do. I'm going to have to find that deck and make a video with it. Everybody plays... I don't know why we see that deck so much, but it turns up literally all the time. All right, on to somebody different now. I thought this was the same person, but it's not. We got Gangplank Teemo, then Hecarim, Viego Demacia, and then Twisted Fate and Zillion. I think I'm just going to take out the Viego deck. This is the one that strikes me as giving our decks the most trouble. The ephemerals kind of theme can cause us some problems, especially with the likes of Aatrox Kane. And so it shouldn't be as like ultra aggressive as like the Z version. It should be more value based, but Hecarim and that team are the ones that give me the most worry out of the stuff that we're seeing here. But lead off with Katarina, no problems with that. She's our favorite, you know. Seems like the thing's working. It's going so slow. Are you going to break again? Okay, there it goes. Glad to see the pool party theme come up. Been using this board extensively. I woke up to a 24-degree day out here in Kansas City. I don't know where you live, but you'll have these days turn up to where you get you get up at like 5:30 in the morning to go to the gym, and you get all dressed, you get all hyped to go, and then you get outside and your car is just like covered in frost. And if you didn't bother to heat it up, then you have to go and like scrape off all your windows and everything. It's a real brutal. It's a real bummer. And shit, I gotta restart this. All right, we should be going now. And so yeah, you gotta go outside in the cold, and then you have to decide if you want to come back in the house or if you just want to sit in the car and wait on it to become the appropriate temperature. And so these are the we're just gonna win like that, I guess. These are the real struggles that we have out here. Did we just win the game? Like the whole thing? Is that how you win your final battles? Well, I guess we got the first one. Moving on to the next. Easiest game with Katarina Leona we've ever played. I don't know. Maybe Riot can fix that too. Intern, send it up the flagpole. You got video evidence of this stuff. Small indie company making small indie games. Connection problems are to be expected. Shouldn't talk trash like that. There's so many ins and outs and ups and downs. It's amazing that anyone ever gets connected to a match and things come together and work. Those network engineer folks don't get enough credit out there. So props to you, network engineer, hanging out at Riot, listening to the FTP bust video. We appreciate you. All right, well, oh, here it goes. It's like, should we wait on the loading screen and then restart? I'm not entirely sure of the strategy when it seems like opponents disconnected and gone. Maybe they'll be back for this game. I feel like it's not going to be the case. Oh, did they do something? Maybe? What are we even up against? I just assumed we were all done here. Did they reconnect? Or did it... Didn't seem like they spent their whole timer. Hey, they're back. Welcome back, Mac Willavekiox X. All right, reasonable start, though. We got the Tusk Speaker Boisterous Host here on 2. We'll play the Gwen on turn 3. You could potentially look to do a Spirits Unleashed. I don't think we'd really want to consider it unless we start to see Teemo. But that's not a Teemo in the Puffcat Peddler. I'll play the unit that can block it. I'll happily take it off the board if given the opportunity. And otherwise, we'll just curve into Gwen. This is a little tempting to save the Inner Beast here, but we'll have 3 power attackers across the board. He's going to need to add in that like 4/4 for me to be really scared.
My life forever, Rosa.
Guess we could have attacked with Gwen there. She would have gotten that the snip, and she would have gotten a point of attack. Maybe we should have gone ahead and sent her in, but it doesn't feel like a space to where we need to be really aggressive. I feel like we're pretty far ahead at this point. This might be a little dangerous. We always, like playing these Puffcap decks, we always talk about kind of like the critical turn to where you decide if you're going to be able to attack for the rest of the game. This feels like the turn where he might actually attack into us. Like, he has the opportunities here to play an additional card. But sucking that additional card be Teemo. But I think we're still going to be safe on this upcoming turn. And if we want, this Teemo is pretty far from flipping. He's at 0 puff caps right now. We can Inner Beast into an AoE stance if we want. I don't think that's going to be the way we take it. We'll probably just hook him with Sejuani, but you've got some opportunity there. Oh, a Sunporks map. We are going to get boomed. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. A little too aggressive with the Spirits Unleashed, maybe. Gotta switch off the autopilot and turn it back on manual mode, you know? But I think we'll be good after this turn. Like, we can add Sejuani to the board. She's going to flip, right? I'm pretty certain we're going to be flipping Sejuani next turn between the Snip from Gwen and the Overwhelm that she has. And then on the following turn, we may be able to Inner Beast to pull off a AoE. And the AoE will frostbite the opposing team. Or if we need to stop Teemo, we have a Vengeance. So, are we still connected? It feels like there's another disconnect that's happened. It's like I just hear the sound. I don't know if you can hear the game music, but it's like the opening screen game music and not the pool party music. And so I'm a little worried. Maybe Mac Willavekiox X just got disconnected again. But right, I think those angles seem good. If we play Sejuani, attack. If we get Frostbitten, we'll still get the Sejuani flip. Then on the opposing turn, if he opens, we can Vengeance Teemo. If he doesn't open, we can Inner Beast into Ram Stance. Do 1 damage to everything, Frostbite his whole team. And I think that should be enough to take us down for the victory. You just have to worry a little bit about the puff caps and getting burnt out, but you're going to gain a little bit of health on this round anyways, so makes me feel kind of safe. Doom Beast helps in that sense as well.
You own what you take.
So the question you would have here is, do you want to hit Teemo with the Boisterous Host? It's a very real chance that, like, if you come at Teemo and then he has a Mystic Shot or Piltover Peacemaker or whatever, that we're going to be in a bit of a bind. And so we only miss out on a couple of points of damage hooking with Sejuani, but I ultimately feel a lot safer taking this route. Another Flash Freeze. Okay. So close to getting that lethal, Sejuani. You punch him for that point of damage. So close. Again, I think we're okay on this upcoming turn. I think the question comes down to, it's like, do we want to wait for combat? Now we don't have to, since we picked up the Unspeakable. Well, I guess you do have to, in the sense that actually, let's just send it to the face. Just prevent the damage. He's not gonna stop us next turn, so let's just not die as best as we can. We can leave the Teemo on the board. But no, one of the spots you have to kind of worry about when you're getting really clever with your spells and trying to kill the Teemo is if you kill Teemo and then he goes, oh, cool, I've got another one, right? If he has another one behind, and then he gets that opportunity to play the second Teemo and still get the attack in, and you got a lot to worry about. But didn't happen here. He just opened, so we were pretty safe at the end of the day. Now this one should be done. Got to worry about another Flash Freeze, I guess, but we should have the lethal between 2 damage of Snip Snip along with 1 damage of Inner Beast. So even if there's a Harsh Winds, I think we'll still get the game. All right. Victory achieved. Not bad. Feels pretty good to take down another final battle with the decks that we're looking to take to Seasonals. A pretty good set of games today. I think the only thing of note was I thought it was pretty interesting. I feel like we drew the Violent Discord in multiple games today, and we also said, man, I wish I would pick up an extra equipment in those very same games that we drew the Violent Discord. But I feel like we still made it through those games okay. Like, I was pretty happy with the amount of interactivity that the Violent Discord brought for us. Just having that, we killed like an Azir, we killed an Elusive, just being able to do like a little bit of chip damage when typically coming out of these decks, all you have access to is the strikes, whether or not that's the 4-mana strike or the Kayn flip or the Aatrox flip. It usually just kind of ends there. And so it's nice to just have that like one little thing that can say, okay, well, I can do a little bit. I don't have high expectations for it, but coming out of the deck like that, you do run into a lot of these games where you're like, cool, I've drawn 5 equipment and I have a handful of 3 equipment and I can't do anything with them. And just having that little bit of something that can poke at a unit and take it down, or ensure that Kayn wins a combat because your opponent played a combat trick or something, it has a nice little bit of versatility to it, even though it's not like a super high-powered card. And so, as it stands, I'm fine with keeping it. If you are up against Katarina, it's probably not enough to kill her, because the deck does run so much with the protection with the +2/+2 ephemeral combat trick, but it is nice having that kind of additional way within that deck to potentially take Katarina off of the board. But nonetheless, good set of games. I had fun with that. Hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. So this is Bust, and we thank you for being here.